what things were you most pleased with tonight?
I thought we defended pretty well in the D zone. I didn't like a couple of back-checking situations that ended up in your chances or potential chances against. I didn't like that, but I thought we defended pretty well. And let's say they got 20 shots on goal. I think the chart's at 15, but let's say it was something around 20 with chances or a block here or there. I thought overall, we defended pretty well.
And how were you able to outshoot them by so much?
I thought our second and third effort in the offensive zone was outstanding. So I thought we had a bunch of O-zone time. When you're doing that, you're limiting, obviously, the potential of them getting shots on net with us having puck possession and us playing in their zone. So I think it was that. I thought we did a decent job through the neutral zone of kind of clogging it up and making it difficult on them for the most part. There was obviously some situations where we didn't do that, but probably those couple things. O-zone time and then just clogging up the neutral zone and making it difficult on them to get into our zone.
Looked like the guys had a concerted effort to not let what happened against Ohio State and Western in the third period not happen tonight.
Yeah.
What was...
Well, last Saturday we went in the third period with a 2-goal lead and scored a fourth and made it a 3-goal lead. And so this is a team that's been in this position before. Unfortunately, a couple times this year it happened, and a couple is too many for sure. But I do think that this group knows how to finish games, knows how to win games when they have leads. We hadn't shown it in a couple opportunities at home, but that's not because we didn't know how to do it. I think tonight is more like what we want to be. I think they had 6 shots in the third. I didn't like the couple penalties we took at all. That's something that in the third period in particular. The penalty at the end of the second period that kind of carried over into the third, and then the penalty where you interfere with the goalie in a 4-1 game. There's just absolutely no reason for that. But I do think this group knows how to finish games, knows how to win games when they're going in the third period with a lead. I think that's what we showed.
After Alec scratched on Saturday, had a pretty good jump back performance today. When he's playing well, what does he bring to the team?
Alec had a great week of practice, and when you talk to a young guy who you don't know great and he's never really faced adversity, that's what I mean when I say I don't know him great. You kind of say you can go one of two ways. You can go the way of, well, how come I'm not in there and it's somebody else's fault, or you can go the other way where I can play better. And obviously he took that route for the whole week. He brings poise, he brings hockey sense, he's got a sneaky good defensive stick because he's always kind of there, and he's a competitor. Alec is a guy who has a chance to play hockey for a while if that's what he wants to do. So there's lots of layers to his game that he brings to our table, and I think you saw a couple tonight. But I don't want his defensive play to get overlooked because he's got so much poise in the offensive zone with the puck. He can defend. He's got a really good stick to defend, stick on puck, and he's not the most physical guy in terms of hitting, but he seems to be on the D side all the time and taking away time and space. So there's lots of things we like about his game when he's playing well.
Is the defense something you thought he was good at coming in, or is that something?
Kevin, that's a good question. Without having seen him as much as Ty and Barry had seen him, the way they describe him is bang on. He's a better defender than you think because you look at the numbers, you look at the points, and he's got 40 points or something like that back-to-back years in the USHL for a defenseman. It's really good. But they both said he can defend. He's got a good stick to defend, and it's kind of always in the way, and you think you've beaten him, and then all of a sudden the stick is there and he pokes the puck. For me, that would probably be the biggest area that I've been impressed with, because we were expecting the power play and the offense and the poise, but to see what he can do defensively when he's playing the game the right way, it's been good.
Chris, would you talk a little bit about, first of all, the value of getting those 2 goals so early and giving yourself a nice lead early, and then also Alec's goal that, literally moments after they had scored and reestablished a 2-goal lead.
Yeah, getting off to a good start at home, John, it's something that we've been able to do. Going back to Ohio State, going back to Western Michigan, we've had good starts at home this year. Then, we think it was kind of a credit to them. They scored in the power play. We kind of got a bad bounce off the end wall there, the end glass, ends up in our net. Credit to Ferris. And then to come back and score right away, I think that squashed any momentum that they were beginning to get, and put it back on our side. So I think the starting fast was key, but I also think getting that next goal was really key to make it 3-1 and get back to that 2-goal lead.
And I know you're not playing must-win games in November, but was there a feeling that must play well? You just need to show you're the team you think you are.
Yeah. I want to use the word want versus need. We want to show that we're the team that we think we are. It by no means was anybody internally, jumping ship. And again, last weekend was really good, and there was parts of the 2 weekends before that were really good. We kind of get skewed because those 2 Saturday nights on the road were so bad in terms of the score. It's just not who we are. So it wasn't. It was a big game because we're starting league play. We had a poor weekend in league a couple of weeks back, and we've got an opportunity to just open a weekend at home. We haven't had that back-to-back Friday, Saturday at home yet. So it was lots of reasons. But I think the main reason is because we want to play well, and tonight was our next opportunity to play a game. That's first and foremost. That's who we want to be all the time.
Three straight games, 3 straight, right? 2 goals or less. That is more who you are, at least that's what I've seen over the time you've been here.
100%.
As opposed to the 6 goals at Ohio State,
100%.
the 8 goals at Western. Have
we
you turned the corner?
Well, I can tell you that what I like in the last 3 games is we've been somewhere between, let's just say somewhere around 20 shots every game, okay? If we're giving up 20 shots a game, that's going to be difficult for people to score more than 3 goals. One of our objectives is 3 goals or less. Is less than 3 goals. And we feel like if we're giving up less than 3 goals, we're giving ourselves a pretty good chance to win that game. The last 3 games, as you said, when you go, obviously the overtime matters, but 60, 60, 60, it's 1 goal, 1 goal, 1 goal. And that to us is more of like who we are. We don't think we're a 6 goals against team. We think defending is a decision. And we know we have goaltending that is better than a couple of those outcomes. Even those 2 games here, it was, I think, 5 each night. It was 4-4 and over, 4-4 tie with Western, and then 5 against Ohio State. That's not who we are either. So I think the last 3 games from a defensive standpoint is a little bit more what we've grown accustomed to because we work on it a bunch. And Chris Nell, it looks like he's getting that form back that we've all become accustomed to.
To go along with that, you also have killed penalties better the last 3 games than you have had the 4 games before that.
I would agree with that. No. When your goaltender is your best penalty killer, you're in a good spot. So that goes hand in hand. Mm-hmm. Again, when I look at their 1-for-6 tonight, there was 2 penalties in particular. The end of the second and the interference on the goalie. Those are absolute penalties that we cannot take. We cannot take those penalties. So let's just say they're 1 for 4. I got no problem with that. The way I thought we killed penalties for the most part, that 1 goal they scored, yes, we could do better. Yes, we could kind of handle it a little differently. But I thought there was some good kills in there. And ultimately, the 2 kills in the third were big kills for us, even though one was a bleed over from the second, and the other one was a bad penalty on our part. We still killed it off. So I do think the first statement was goaltending. The second, the question was the penalty kill. I do think they go hand in hand. You're right. The penalty kills just looked a little more in sync, and the results are showing that in the penalty kill.
What went into dressing 7D instead?
what we looked at, Kevin, is what each individual brings to the table, and we look at some of the D that this guy might be better 5-on-5, and this guy's a good penalty killer. Well, this guy's not as strong in the penalty kill. So we looked at that, and then we also looked at, I don't think it's mandatory that we dress 12 forwards. I think you still have to earn the lineup, and that's still and sometimes it's a defenseman versus a forward. It looked like our D all had a good opportunity to play. I think the 11 forwards, that means you've got guys getting more ice time, but I thought for the most part we handled it fine. But what went into the decision was who's bringing the most to the table, and what does this guy do that maybe this guy doesn't, and it crossed over positions. It didn't matter forward to D. We were looking at special teams. We were just looking at what you've been bringing to the table as an individual and what impact we think you can make on tonight's game, and we thought this was the best lineup to go with.
Given your talent and depth on defense, might 7D become the new norm?
Well, I don't think it's that out of the realm of reality that you do it that way. I mean, everybody watches NHL hockey, and there a bunch of teams will dress 7D and the 11 forwards with the TV timeouts and so on. Could it become a staple? I don't know, Kevin. I don't know. Today's game was based on the week of practice plus last week games, whatever, right? You come up with the lineup and you put the best team out there you think possible. We'll do the same thing tomorrow. If that looks like 11 and 7, then so be it.